This is the ninth problem in the assignment 7. So here we have given two lists which we need to do the addition. So we need to add the two numbers represented by the two lists, and we need to return the addition of those two input numbers. So for example, we have given these two lists where by adding this, so let's say we have this 5 4 3 and we have 4 and 5 4. So when we add this, we'll get 10, but we need to make the borrow to the next one. So here we'll get 9, 4 plus 4 8 plus 1 9, and then here we have 3. So this is our output, and so in order to do this, what I'm going to do is I'll make a new list, and I'll have a separate variable in which I'm going to store the borrow, and I'll make the new list with the result that came by adding the two numbers or two nodes. So let's write the function. So function add two lists, and the inputs for this is the heads of the two lists, so list 1 and list 2. If list I'm checking the corner conditions, where if list 1 is null, we just need to return list 2, and if list 2 is null, we'll return list 1. Now I'm declaring a new node, and I'm naming it this variable as new list, in which I'm creating a new node whose value is -1. This is just a dummy node, and I'm declaring another variable called a new head, in which I'm storing this new list, and we also need a variable to store the borrow, so I'm declaring a variable called borrow and initializing it with 0. Now I'll start the while loop, which checks for if list 1 is not null, or list 2 is not equals to null. Now I'm declaring a variable called sum. So if list 1 and list 2, so both of these lists are, if both of these are not null, then sum becomes list 1 dot value plus list 2 dot value plus borrow. Else if list 1 is not equals to null, then sum becomes list 1 dot value plus borrow. else. So if both of these are both of these are not null. uh, if both the list 1 and list 2 are not null, then in the sum we are going to add the values from both the list 1 and list 2, and for the result sum we also need to add the borrow if there is any. So if there is no borrow, and we have 0 as the value to the borrow, and if only list 2 is null and list 1 is not null, then to the sum we need to add the list 1 dot value and the borrow. So if this is also not true, then that means list 1 is null and list 2 is not null, which comes to the else condition. So in the else condition we'll have a sum equals to list 2 dot value plus borrow. Now I'm going to create a new node. So new node whose value is equal to the sum, but we need to check this if this sum is greater than 9. So if the sum is less than 9, we just need to add the value of this sum to the new node. But if this is greater than 9, then we need to make sum minus 10. So this is because if we add this 2, we'll get 10, and in the sum we are adding only 0, but this 1 is going as borrow, so we need to make sum minus 10. And here in this problem I'm assuming all these values are 0 to 9, and so if sum is not greater than 9, then we just need to store the sum as the value of this new node. Then I'm making new list dot next equals to this new node, and new list equals to new list dot next. Now we need to update the borrow if the sum is greater than 9. So in the borrow, if we will check if sum is greater than 9. If sum greater than 9, then borrow is 1. If not, the borrow is 0. Then we'll check if list 1 is not null. So if list 1 is not null, then we need to update list 1 to the list 1 dot next. Same goes with the list 2. So if list 2 is not equals to null, then we'll update the list 2 to the list 2 dot next. So the while loop ends here, and after this while loop we'll get all this. So we'll get the sum to the all the numbers, but we need to check one more thing. So let's say we have 9 here. So if we have 9 here, the sum of these two is 12, right? Then we'll have 2 here, and 1 becomes borrow. So we'll have one more node after these 2, which is equal to the borrow. So for that reason we need to check, after this while loop we need to check if borrow is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then we need to create a new node and add it to the new list. So var new node equals to new node and its value is equal to the borrow, and new list dot next is equal to new node, new list equals to new list dot next. Actually we do not need this one, so we just need to make new list dot next equal to this new node, and if condition ends here. And finally we need to return new head dot next. So this is what we need to return finally. Now let's check this with the example. So let's take this this example. So we have 5 4 two lists, which is 5 4 and 5 4 3. So first we will check if list 1 is null. So list 1 is not null and list 2 is not null. So we get to the next line where we are creating a new node. So in the new list we'll have this new node, which is a dummy node, and we'll have new head. New head is equal to the new list, so we'll have this dummy node in the new head also, and borrow is equals to 0. Now we start this while loop, and we check if list 1 is not equals to null or list 2 is not null. So if either of this is true, then we go into this while loop. We have sum. So if both of these are not null, both the list 1 and list 2 are not null, then sum is equal to. So here initially we have list 1 equals to 5, list 2 equals to 5, because this is the both examples that we have. So these are the two lists, and initially the head is at 5 in the list 1, and in the list 2 also head is at the 5. So both of these are not null, and sum becomes list 1 dot value plus list 2 dot value, which means 5 plus 5 plus borrow is 0, so which is 10. And we don't get into this else conditions. Then we will create a new node. So new node equals to we'll check if sum is greater than 9. Yes, it is greater than 9 because it is 10. So if it is greater than 9, we need to store in this new node sum minus 10. So sum is 10, and 10 minus 10 is 0. So new node equals to 0. New list dot next equals to new node. So to this new list, so in the new list we have this dummy node. To this next we are adding this new node, and we are making the new list equals to so now the new list is at this node. So new list is at this node currently, and then we need to change the borrow if sum is greater than 9. Here sum is 10, which is greater than 9, so the borrow becomes 1. Now we'll check if list 1 and list 2 is not null. If they are not null, we'll make them to the next node. So now list 1 becomes 4 and list 2 becomes next node, which is 4, and the while loop starts again, where we'll check if both of them are not null. So both of them are not null, and so the sum becomes 4 plus 4 plus borrow. So now the sum is 8 plus borrow is 1, so sum is 9. And then we create a new node, and sum is not greater than 9, so its value is 9, and we are making the new list dot next equal to this new node. So new list dot next is 9, and we are making new list equals to new list dot next. So now the new list will be at this node, and we'll check if we need to change the borrow if sum is greater than 9. Since sum is equals to the 9, then borrow becomes 0. So now the borrow is 0, and we'll check if list 1 is not null. It is not null, so it becomes list 1 dot next, which is null. And if list 2 is not null, it becomes list 2 dot next, so it becomes 3. Now the while loop starts again, and it will check if both of these nodes are not null. Here we have the list 1 is equal to null, so it comes to the next condition. If list 1 is not equals to null, so this is also false. It comes to the else condition, where we will make sum equals to list 2 dot value plus borrow. So which means list 2 dot value is 3 plus borrow, and the borrow we have 0. So sum is 3, and we create a new node with the value 3, and that new node is added to the new list dot next. So new list we have at node 9, so new list dot next becomes 3. And now the while loop ends here, because list 1 is already null, and if we make the list 2 equals to list 2 dot next, which becomes null, and both the conditions in this while loop fails. So we come out of this while loop, and we'll check if borrow is greater than 0, but we have borrow is equals to 0, so if it does not enter into this if condition, and we need to return new head dot next. So in the new head, if we see here, we have this node -1, which is a dummy node. So the next node to this dummy node is starts from 0, right? So we need to return this one. So this is our output. So this is the output that we got here. Thank you.